recap, past the previously on, so that we all start at the beginning of the actual episode. And tonight there is a previously on. So you're going to want to jump ahead to the 30-second mark and then pause your episode there. It's always best for us to start our episodes and then just pause them right there at the beginning, because we're going to all press our play buttons at the same time. I'm going to do a countdown in a second. And if you have it paused there, your episode will start immediately. There won't be that Netflix loading, and we'll all be synced up. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you recording?
I am recording now, yeah. And I am going into the Remarcus app so I can get that time code going that I just mentioned. The name of this episode is The Prodigal Daughter Returns, and that title looks...
I'm here. Just say
that episode title looks very familiar, so I think that I'm in this one, although I thought that I was in another episode recently, Welcome to the Dollhouse, which also looked familiar, but turns out it wasn't, and I wasn't in the episode, so I don't know. I may or may not be in this episode. I do know that I'm in tomorrow's episode, that's for sure. All right, if we're all ready, and you've been here before, you know what we're doing. If you're new, grab your remote, have your thumb on that play button, but do not press it yet, because we're going to do that at the same time. Hold on, let me actually get my timer to 30 seconds. Sorry, let me do that on the Instagram one as well. We're gonna all press it at the same time. Make sure that your episode has been fast forward to the 30-second mark. Give me 20 seconds to get it there on my Instagram live feed. Almost there, 15 seconds. Almost there. 10 seconds. Thanks for your patience. We're almost there. 3 more seconds, 2 more seconds. Okay, so we are going to all press our play buttons at the same time on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And Tim Tams.
I use those all the time too.
This is just such a sign of the times and where she lives, because as like a young woman in 2021, I would 100% have a chain on my door. No, I would not sleep. Sound of slow. $2,000.
Oh, good lord.
Oy. Oy,
Yeah.
oy, oy.
Oh,
Oy,
boy.
oy, oy is the thing.
Bedroom set.
So bad.
Do not sleep on things that dead people have slept on. Thank you.
That doesn't mean
Oh.
she died on it.
It also looks like a double. It does. It looks very small.
It is very small.
Maybe I'm just spoiled for my king.
Yeah, for the longest time we had a queen, and now it's a king. But looking at that, that doesn't even look like a full.
No, yeah, that thing looks like a double.
Did you know that there's such thing as an Alaskan king?
And a California king, that's just a little bit deeper, longer.
Well, Alaskan king is like the biggest you can get.
Get rid of the bed and I love everything else.
So hideous.
I mean, I can do. I can get into the antique look. I like that. I like that look if it's done right. But the problem is that that room just looks so sparse with just like 2 pieces of antique furniture in it. It just looks a little weird. And then that bed is just. I'm sorry, like that's just a comfort thing. I couldn't do it.
It's hideous.
Those aren't nice antiques. That's really bad. I
Like,
don't
he
mind
could've
the night
gone-
tables or the dresser, but I think the bed is just too much. So if it was without the bed, I think it would be okay.
He could have gone to Kim's Antiques and gotten antiques and have it look really pretty because Mrs. Kim does not stock anything ugly.
Well, hello, Emily.
Off to the zoo.
Did you see somebody's name there?
Yep. Yep. So I guess this is the episode, huh?
Ooh, I would have just taken it. Be like, screw you.
And it-
That was funny.
I would take
Better
it
go
off
get it a
too.
cape.
And yeah, you better go get a cape line. It's great.
I love Elton John.
Has Lorelai put that much sugar in her coffee before?
She usually
Yes.
drinks a black.
Great movie.
Yeah, Mask is a good movie. Who said great movie?
Me, Tasha.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it as well.
I'm surprised that you know that movie, Tasha.
My mom's a huge Cher fan, and she loves Sam Elliott. And yeah, so I actually grew up watching that movie. I actually have it on.
And Eric Stoltz.
You.
Oh,
That was a pretty flower arrangement.
You like that chair? What do you think of the chair?
I like it.
I like the lamp.
This is the scene Nick was talking about, John. How he was jealous of the guys getting to be with
Yeah. I love Finn. That one's great.
And I love Finn too.
And his nails look beautiful.
Hey, now I noticed the nail polish.
Yeah, I never noticed that before. Holy crap.
It's so fabulous.
It's so great.
he's so good looking. Finn.
He really is. He
In,
really is.
The Pulp Friction is the first time he showed us that he had them painted, but it's not the last time.
No, but I never noticed that before. Wow. Yeah. Though I promise to give them a good home line kills me too. He just has some of the best lines ever. Fine, forget it. Die at 60. Bring me a donut while I wait.
I always say, well, it's your fault when someone says sorry. It's an impossible habit.
Oh, I know what's going on. Yeah, right.
I'm very proud of Lorelai here for not like jumping up and running over to Lane's to see if she can find Rory or something.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They have a koi fish like cake
Yeah,
tin.
he's so
That's
annoying
wall
in this
decoration.
scene. Oh my god, he's so annoying. Oh god. Sorry,
The jar of animal cracker
Thank-
cookies.
sorry, Dad.
Fred, we have one in my son's room. Good stuff.
I love the fact that Zach knew exactly how many pieces of paper come on a roll.
Oh my god. He's been so annoying here.
Hey, look, there's our little club flyer in the background.
Yep.
And it
That's
says we're out there.
cool.
It says we're out there on the bottom. This is a really interesting actor. I don't know why. I just love that actor. I loved his
He's-
performance.
He does a lot of like one-off shows, and he's always
Is that a mini fridge on top of like a cabinet or something to make it look like it's a regular size fridge?
They said a while ago that it was a temporary thing for them, but yeah.
She didn't even open her soda.
Is Brian?
Decapitated.
Yeah, we told you already, John. He's been decapitated by Mia.
Do they actually have a couch? Don't they only have single seats? Where is Rory sleeping?
I was like,
Probably in
"Jeez."
Lane's bed with her.
Yeah,
or on
probably with
Lane's
Lane
floor
on
or
the
something.
floor, I would assume.
I do gadgets.
Not the real man argument. Though.
Oh, the dresses with jeans. Bad. Hated that.
I just noticed that she was wearing slippers.
Yeah, the cherubs are a little over the top.
I don't mind that it has the 4 posts. Those are kind of pretty, but those cherubs really are.
Just the cherubs with the little butts. I mean, no, sorry.
I
And
think
they
those
look
are
like the-
supposed to be their knees. I think
They're
they're
the
like
knees.
forward with
Oh,
the
no, that
knees, dude.
They
Oh
look
boy.
like
Oh, those are
butts.
putts.
Oh boy.
I know, but they're laying on their side of the
Oh boy.
knee.
I would pay attention.
Oh Lord,
Basura.
lore.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Ruh-roh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, indeed.
Uh-oh. Not a good look for Luke.
No. Jealousy does not look
Terrible
good.
look for Luke.
Nope, not at all.
So many jealous characters in this show, right?
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Jealousy doesn't look good on pretty much anyone.
I actually not a fan of Luke half season 6.
Except Dave Rogalski, he was cute when he was jealous and ran all the way to the hockey game.
Yes, Dave is the exception.
That's a good point.
Was that a froggy on the sink? It is a frog.
Is.
I love frogs.
Oh, that scoff makes me want to slap him.
Just assuming before he knows anything.
This is definitely what I was thinking was going to start happening once Christopher gets into the picture.
Oh. Uh-huh.
Yep.
There's several scenes that I want to slap.
Yeah, he
What is
definitely
this
deserves
number?
the slap
Yeah.
upside the head in there.
Oh my
Trademark. This man's over here eating one piece of spinach at a time.
Notice how they're not talking over one another whenever they're in their close-up shots. Only when it's wide.
I have definitely been Suki and Jackson in a situation like this, and it's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Super ox.
Just stare at the ground and be quiet.
Not as awkward as I'm screaming at Davey to turn the TV down.
Anyway, I was mentioning that about the fighting, that like when they had it in the wide shot, they were like talking over one another. You can't do that in close-ups because you need the individual audio from each one of them.
Oh, this is something to keep in mind. This scene.
I think that when that's going to be comment is unfair from Luke. He knows why they're waiting.
Yeah, but he still wants some sort of response.
Agreed. I do.
He's
love this
supposed to
moment.
have been drinking, but
This
in that shot, the beer was totally full.
She wasn't hiding anything.
I mean, she kind of was, but she would have told him eventually.
This is my favorite part.
That was a good kiss.
Ugh.
Yep.
I think that Luke is also jealous of Christopher, and I think that Luke wants to think of himself as Rory's father in a way, or a father figure to
Absolutely.
him. And he's jealous of that, of like when she said, Christopher's Rory's father. I think that actually stings a little.
I mean, we heard from Luke at the wedding. Like, I was there when she was sick. I helped move her into college. He does definitely think he's more of a father than Christopher.
And he's got a point there.
Yeah, he does.
This is fun.
I like this.
Yeah, me too.
And all of our criticisms of Rory not being a go-getter fall away.
Finally, we see her with some initiative.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Oh my goodness, this is weird. He'll have to fire Harry.
But isn't that gonna affect her reference if
Oh
someone
my
else
god, I
calls him?
forgot about
Yes.
this.
It'll make most of you sad to know I am spoiled on that.
No.
Bruh.
No. But
Is
you
it
did
because you saw her around the set?
Well, I met her in at the Gilmore Girls Fan Fest.
Oh, of
So, I mean,
course, yeah.
That all I'd have to hear is her tell me what she is in the show, and I don't really know the nature of the storyline, but I know enough.
But don't spoil it for
Well,
Sheen,
here it
so
is.
we don't
That was a cute scene.
Falling off of her. She's so cute.
She bought those glasses for her audition. On her
Yeah,
way
I
for
don't
her
know.
audition. Yeah.
Very bizarre.
Are you not enjoying this?
I am, but I'm also a little nervous about what Mary said. I mean, I like this. I like this Rory, but I'm a little nervous about this. I don't know why.
The way he said written word was like much more American than I think we've heard from him.
She's with Brian.
I mean, Rory is the new and improved Lorelai. Of course, she did the same thing her mother did and just snuck away.
Ooh, good observation. That's true.
Well, she did kind of tell her grandmother that I'd have to have be living in the house to have house rules. So I think that was her telling her she was done, but she did, kind of do it while she wasn't in the house.
I just remembered what's happening. I totally did not have any recollection of what's going on until like
Any guesses to where Emily is, John?
I just love this, where you're part in this.
Right. I am in this episode. I remember.
Hi, Brian.
Yay!
Hi, Brian. There you are. You're back.
Good point.
True. Fair. Very fair.
Imagine rent being
That was
$40.
my only. I think that. Oh no, that was my biggest scene with Lauren, which I thought was cool. That's why I remember it.
That is
That's
cool.
cute.
Yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
that was like my biggest like dialogue with her, and that was exciting for me.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Oh, Emily. Moments.
Oh, Emily.
Well,
I will.
I love this scene. Love, love, love.
You think that's so she and Lorelai inherited her good housekeeping skills?
Because Luke screams Florida.
Mom, you can't buy a plane is iconic.
And you did a lot of that without being asked or consulted them.
I was proud of Rory.
Oh, that was really that was really nice.
Right in the feels.
It was a real feeler.
Y'all, I don't even like Emily, man. Oh my goodness. Whew. That was rough.
I
That
always
was a big
wonder.
deal for Emily.
I always wonder if that line was added after filming because of the way Lorelai turns and then says it. I always wondered.
I don't think so. I love that. I love that that's the way it was performed.
Oh, I love that. I love the line as well. It's just I always find it very odd where the second her mouth is out of shot, she says it.
That was
Love that moment.
Just as something sort of wraps up, something else starts.
yeah, and he can't keep away. Oh man.
Yep.
He also can't keep away from the curiosity that he has about that because he wants to be a dad.
Yep.
Yep.
I always had a problem with the picture she has of him because he wasn't doing that when she took the picture.
Yeah.
He still had his hand up when she took the picture. I always took note of that, but I don't think the facial expression.
I love that his scarf is around his jacket and not his neck. It's so impractical. I love it.
Luke style.
Ugh.
This man is having an asthma attack.
And she has April is her name.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, April Nardini.
The guy on the right looks like TJ.
I was just gonna say that.
She's kind of got some Rory traits to her, doesn't she?
Oh
Yep, yep.
Yes.
God, I hate her.
And I don't like
Very
that.
much so. So, very much so.
I don't dislike her.
I love
She's
her.
a child.
Yeah,
It's not April's fault.
Right, I like April.
I love
like
her.
her too.
Do people not like her? She's a
Oh,
little
yeah.
girl.
Yeah,
There's
Really?
people
Feelings.
the whole thing saying that she was the most hated person in the show.
Yeah.
I can think of a lot of.
I'll
Me
tell you
too.
For
what
reasons that you'll
Scott
find out.
said at the panel about this after.
Sarah's Weeknight Meals on Food Network, on Create still.
I think she's feeling restless.
Okay, this is my favorite.
Yes.
The message that she's the Oliver of from the Brady Bunch.
What's going on?
What happened to the chain on the door? What happened to the chain that was on the door in the beginning? In the beginning of the episode?
They're at the end.
No, it's not. If you go back, it's not on the door anymore.
No, it's definitely not.
Why were we
that
overtalking
line where she,
that scene,
Tearing
guys?
up here, tearing up here. Me too.
Oh god, those donuts make me nauseous just looking at them.
Yeah.
Ew, boy.
Directly from Lorelai's daughter crisis into Luke's.
Yep.
Oh.
It's gotta be.
Yep,
When he
yep.
turns around and he says, we have
Whoa.
to be honest with each other. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, but she
Yeah.
also didn't really give him time to. I mean, she just came like a whirlwind came in there. So.
But
Yeah,
he
there
didn't
was no
say
time.
anything to her that somebody came in and because she had to run the test. It wasn't an immediate response the next day. So she didn't even say anything like, this girl came in, pulled
Yeah,
her
that's
hair
true.
out.
Yeah,
But
that's
at the
true.
same time, why
Wait,
say
hold on, guys.
something-
Hold on. Gotta open the couch. Sorry, I don't want to get into a big discussion before I let folks know the couch is open. All right, come on up, everyone, and continue. Sorry.
Thank you. Here's the thing with that. Like, yes, like we can't speak too much on it because it just happened. However, I feel like why say something if like he doesn't know yet? Because like telling her something that could possibly wreak havoc without knowing any results is basically just making an whatever, however you phrase it.
But something
Are we
like
talking about Luke and Lorelai?
I
Yeah.
wasn't done yet.
Yes, we are.
I was not done yet. And because like I don't think it was really a big deal of him not telling her because he didn't even know anything yet. So why tell her something if it might not even been true? Now that it's true, yes, I feel like he should tell her. Yes, but the fact that he at the time when he didn't even know anything yet, I don't think there was really any reason to tell her when he didn't even know himself yet.
a huge thing. It's huge. Somebody's coming in and saying it's a possibility. It's something I would absolutely be sharing with the person I'm in a relationship with.
Yeah,
I
it's
totally
like-
agree. It's
I
like
think you guys are overthinking. I think he just didn't have a chance before he got it confirmed. Like as we saw, she came in when he was really busy, and he just it may not have been something that stuck. And when he went and got it confirmed, you see the shocked look on his face when Lorelai comes in. He's still processing. He doesn't even know what to say yet.
Yeah,
Is it-
and
Yeah, I
this
agree.
random stuff. I know.
Is it also possible he wants to have it
He's-
sent to an outside lab just to be on the safe side? Because it's just a kid's doing it as a school project. And so he may not be ready until he sees it from a third party.
I mean, I
Okay, wait a minute.
I think what Sherry's getting at is that it's big enough of an issue, like it's big enough of a thing that he would actually go to a high school science fair to check on it, right? Like the fact that if it wasn't anything for him to really think much about and therefore not really tell the person he's in a relationship with, then the girl leaves, he thinks about it for a second, then he goes on with his life. And if she shows up again with information, then he'll take it from there. But he really thinks about it. He goes to her science fair to find out. This is something that is pressing for him. It's on his mind. So why wouldn't he share that with the person who he's like is the most important person to him, that he's, they've talked about being straight with each other. Like if it's that important that he would go to a kid's science fair just to check, then it should be big enough that he tells Lorelai, even just like, hey, so this happened today and it's kind of been on my mind. And I don't know if it's real or not, but it sort of joggled me, and I just want to let you know I'm going to go to the science fair to just check it out.
Okay, so can I just
Exactly.
clarify?
Exactly.
I need to know, are we talking about Luke and April right now? Or did
Yes.
we? Okay, great, because I didn't know, it sounded like we were mentioning Luke, Lorelai, and Christopher, but we're talking about Luke, Lorelai, and
Yeah,
April.
no, Luke. We're talking about Luke, April.
Okay.
Luke, April, and Lorelai.
No,
We're not
it's
talking about this.
So let's be honest here. We only have like 2 minutes left with the show, and it's done. Just click play on the next episode, and we'll see what happens.
No.
Carl!
What, for
No,
real?
like-
There wasn't enough
I
time.
know.
We needed time for commercial breaks. We did. We needed time for commercial breaks. It was 42 minutes. She came in. Rory's back. Get the fries. I gotta go. Rory's back. You know, like
Wait, what?
what you want him to do?
No, I wasn't saying that I thought Luke should tell her right there. I thought
No, like
earlier.
I wasn't talking to you, John. I was just saying in general. It's like we just click play.
Yeah, I definitely think
like,
it's not so much about. Sorry, Lily, you go.
the whole thing of like it's not that important. It's like whether somebody thinks it's that important or it's not that, or they don't think it's or they think it's very important, or it is obviously very important, or it's not, like whatever it is. It's like something, some kid's like, hey, you might be my dad. One, he memorized the school name that she said after she said it one time. He's never heard of the school and then went to the school. So he's obviously thinking about it. So it's like, even if it's like not that important because it might not be true, it's still something you should tell your significant other, especially when you are just have been the one to say no more secrets. When it came from you saying no more secrets, and then you're like, I'm gonna keep a secret, it's like, it's not a good look.
I never said it wasn't important. I just say don't say anything unless it's true.
Yeah, but
yeah,
but
like that's
I think
my
it's
thing.
less
I think
about.
even if it isn't, even if you don't know it's true, you should still say it, because like
Yeah,
it's still kind of a really big thing.
Yeah, because I don't think that it's about whether it's true or not. It's whether it's an important enough thing. If it's an important enough thing to him, then he should share it with somebody that he's in a relationship with, that they've talked about not keeping things from each other, right? So it's not really about whether or not that thing is true, or lying to her about whether he's the person's this girl's father. It's more about like, are you holding on to something that is really important that you're not sharing with me, that could potentially have implications to our relationship? And if the answer is yes, then he's holding something from her. And I would argue that if it's important enough for him to have gone to that school, then it's important enough that he could tell Laura.
But couldn't you say that it didn't become important enough until he confirmed it?
Right.
No, I mean,
Like,
important. No, it's important to him because it's on his mind. I just mean something that is in his heart important, that's in his heart important. Like it's important enough for him to go to the school. So that's a thing that he finds important, finding out, discovering whether or not he is or he isn't. That is the thing that is important. And that's the thing that he's keeping from Lorelai.
Yeah.
You know what?
He's been on his own for so long.
Yep.
I'm gonna.
Changed it.
I don't
I
think
was just
I
gonna.
would-
Okay.
I'm sorry, Carl. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I was just gonna pick it back off what Lily said. You go ahead, Sean.
Tasha, if that was actually like, say your boyfriend, fiance, husband, or whatever, found out that he might be a father to a child, and he waited weeks, and he finally found out, and then he came to you, and he said,
Weeks? It's only been 2 days, Shauna.
right, well, I mean,
We don't
2
know how
days.
many days it took for
Right.
for the tech to actually.
More
guess
than
you're
one day.
We can.
I'm sorry, but I'm
And
sticking
he-
with my original thought.
And he kept that information from you. Would you be mad at him that he kept that information from you?
Can I phrase it in a different way though? Like from my perspective, the way I saw it is
Like, yeah.
this thing happened with the girl in the diner, and yes, it stayed on his mind. But like the way that I saw it whenever I watched it is that Luke was going to confirm. Once he saw it wasn't him. If it wasn't him, then this would be a funny anecdote to tell Lorelai. Last week some girl came in, she thought I was her father. I found out I'm not her father. Ha ha ha.
I wouldn't laugh at that. Yeah, I wouldn't laugh at that.
Me either. I would be really
if somebody
upset.
said that to me, the first thing I think is, you're telling me now.
The way I
Yeah,
think about it
Yeah.
is,
I also think he's just running a little scared. He
I
doesn't
think
want to get attached because he's been hurt so many times by so many people that he's in his shell.
So Mary, what's your
Right.
question?
But I think what Mary was saying was that, and I don't think she got to finish. Did you get to finish, Mary?
No.
I'm sorry, Mary. I cut you off
That's
there.
okay.
Please.
I was just
Yes,
saying,
please.
so like it's not that he was keeping it from her because he wanted to keep a secret. He was waiting for the story to resolve to be able to tell her what happened.
Exactly.
Whether it's her or not. Like I really didn't think I think he really didn't think it would be he would be the father, but I think what he was after was to figure out the resolution, not to tell the story in the middle. And now that it is him, he's still in shock. He's still in shock over the mother because we've never heard of this Anna before. So she's clearly someone from his past that he hasn't spoken to Lorelai about in our realm of understanding. And so I think he's still in shock and he's still processing. But I don't see it as a deliberate, I'm going to keep this from Lorelai.
No, because like
Period.
Yeah, 'cause if he wouldn't
100%
have
Mary.
gone-
I agree with
if he wouldn't have gone to
I'm
the
not on that.
school-
I'm not on that. I don't believe it.
If he wouldn't have gone
I'm
to the
with you,
school,
John.
if he wouldn't have gone to the school, it would have been on his mind consistently. And so probably to kind of rid his mind of that and to actually find out if he is or not, he went solely so he can like stop like overthinking it or anything like that, whatever was going on in his mind. Because honestly, he had no idea what was going on in Luke's mind between that moment where
He seems
you know-
distressed. He seems distressed.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
But
so
he-
so just like from there, if he seems distressed about something, then this is not just an anecdote. This is something that he's worried about, and he's not actually sharing that worry, that concern with a person that's really important. And he's not going to do it until after he's discovered that it's not a concern. Like that to me seems a little off. That for me feels like the criticism we've had of Lorelai, where she doesn't share things that are, worrying her personally, when the thing that she's worried about is actually a part of the two of them. Like what he's worried about could be that this potentially influences and disrupts their entire relationship. That strikes me as something that belongs to Lorelai as well. Like she's in that relationship. So the idea that it's just like, oh, I want to see so that I can have an anecdote. I mean, that wasn't the Luke that I saw in this episode. He was nervous. He was in his head. And the fact that he's nervous and in his head means that it's something really personally, deeply important. And I feel like that's something that he should share with the person that it would affect the most.
I agree.
So too long don't
I
read.
don't
Luke
think-
was processing and he should have processed it with Lorelai.
We need a
That's
mic
what
flash,
I
guys.
That is
I don't
that is
think
how I
that
feel,
he
yes,
had-
Carl. That's how I
I
feel.
don't think he
Then
had
that's
a
what I
reason
agree
to
with.
hide it.
Need a mic flash, guys. We're talking over
I
each
don't-
other.
I don't think that he had a reason to hide it because it's not like he was with Lorelai 12 years ago. So it wasn't like he cheated on her. So I always thought that was a little weird to hide it from.
Yeah.
I also think that we assume that he processes things a lot faster than he does. That in his life, he seems like he's not as fast to process, and it takes him a long time to think about all the options. So I don't know that we're being. I do agree that he should have told Lorelai, but I think he's still trying to wrap his head around it, and it may take him a little more time than the average person to get there.
But why wouldn't he process it with her? Why wouldn't he allow her to
Because
come
he's
into
been
that
on his own for so long before
that
her,
whole
and he had
process
to
of sort
take
of
care
dealing
of
with it?
himself.
But when
But
you
he's had to
propose
take
to
care of himself and
somebody-
make all of these decisions since his dad passed away.
Yeah.
And
I
so he
that
hasn't
I
had a-
totally recognize. But I think that is one of the flaws of relates to this relationship.
Everybody
The
has
fact-
their own flaws.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just pointing out that is a flaw, that he is keeping something from her. It may be completely linked to his past and not being able to process with other people because of his father and all of that kind of stuff. Totally willing to accept that that's the reason why, but not really. Like for me, I can't see this as just like not that big deal. He's just he just wants to find out if it's over, and then if it is, then he'll it'll be a funny little anecdote. That's not what he looked like in the episode. He looked like he was worried.
Lee and Heather have been flashing.
Lee?
Yeah, so just to kind of bounce off of what you guys are saying, I agree with John. I think the way I picture it is, let's say it's been at least a few days, maybe a week. This means that Luke has gone home every night, gotten into bed with Lorelai, assumed maybe had a chat on the couch even before they went to bed. So he's going home to the person he shares his life with every single night, and he's keeping this potentially huge thing to himself. I don't even think it's so much about, oh, was it right or wrong to keep it from her? I think it's more about he should want to share with his partner. That is why she's there. That is why they're sharing a life. He should want to confide in her. And if we take it back to, oh God, season 3, I want to say, when he listens to those self-help tapes, and it's like, who's the first person you want to go to with big news? That's Lorelai. That's who he thinks of. So I think it's just very, very strange that he didn't want to confide in her.
Yep.
Lee,
I
yes,
agree.
100%, because this is actually, because of what they did here in season 6, it's a huge sign of bad writing to me because of the inconsistency of Lucas.
But also remember when Lorelai proposes, and you, even John, you were concerned about her reaction was, I just want to be happy. Going back to that, is he not confiding in her because she's finally happy again and realizes that Rory's back, and he doesn't want to mess that up, because this big news that just hit him as being a father to this girl this little girl that she's never seen, that he's never seen, sorry. You know, I mean, with April, it has a lot of Rory qualities, but I mean, I'm just saying that it's like, he just wants to keep her happy.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that's totally plausible that that's the reason why he's doing it. I'm just pointing out that he's doing it. That's really all. That's all I'm saying. But I think that that's a totally valid reason why he might be keeping that from her. But what I think is really interesting about the episode is that the episode begins about that between them, right? Like we start with, you are keeping this from me, you know, this whole thing with Christopher, which she isn't, you know, which is the crazy part about it. It's like he's like just completely irrationally freaking out about the idea that she would be keeping things from him because she has had this history of doing that kind of stuff. And then it seems like that was designed in the writing to give us this thing that he now is keeping from her, like that we can see that flip-flop happening. The reason why he does it, the reason why he does it, like, yeah, I think that's actually just a great reason for why he might be doing it.
My question is why, if he came to her and he told her that, if he told her about April, you know, what about it would upset her?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It might actually just like worry her.
And I don't want to forget that Heather was also flashing her mic.
Yeah, Heather flashing. Sorry about that.
No, I just wanted to make sure Heather didn't get forgotten.
Heather?
Yeah. Where'd she go?
She's at the top there. Heather.
Oh, sorry. I went to get a glass of water because I wasn't getting
Oh
fixed.
no.
No worries. No.
I think that it's a parallel, like you said, John, with the storyline of Lorelai, and it's both like a little bit of a freak out. You're both freaking out over. That's huge news that Luke is finding out. To find out he has a long lost 12-year-old daughter, that's insane. So of course he's going to freak out and panic. And the same with Lorelai, parallel stories. She panics when Christopher calls because she knows it's going to upset Luke. So the parallels with the storyline, they're both freaking out over these kind of big things.
I mean,
that's my opinion.
I mean, like part of me also like likes the idea that he's keeping something from her because I love that narrative parallel, right? Like that's also probably what's influencing me here is that I think I see that and I like that, and it works best if there is this conflict that Luke has about something that he was actually accusing her of earlier in the episode.
They're also
You want the drama, John.
I like a fight.
Yeah,
I like a fight.
but I mean, like a fight is good and all, but like for me, it gotta make sense because that overall doesn't make like for me, it doesn't make sense for Luke, his character, and like what he said to Lorelai earlier in this episode, and what happened with the whole Lorelai and Christopher thing, and now he's doing it with his daughter. It's like, really? Is this who we are? Is this what we represent?
You think that it doesn't make sense? You think that it doesn't make sense? Like you feel like the writing is not working there, or you feel like
I just feel like it doesn't work for Luke's character. Yeah. Mostly because of what happened in season 4. I believe, I'm so sorry if I forgot. I think I forgot the person who brought it up, but they brought up a good point that in season 4, episode 20 of Luke Can See Her Face, the guy was listening to all these things. It was asking, can you see her face? Can you see her face? And one of those things was, who's the first person you're going to go to for like important news? Can you see her face? And he's like, whoa. And he sees Lorelai. And then we fast forward to season 6, and he's not telling Lorelai. It's just, where am I supposed to take with that? Is the reason why he's not telling Lorelai is because he keeps seeing her do the same thing that she did like a year ago with the whole Christopher thing, and why everything exploded with Wedding Bell Booze. I don't blame him. That crap pisses me off too. Why are you still doing this hiding crap? What? You're traumatizing the man at this point. But so it's like, I get it, but it's just like it's
frustrating.
Writing wise, I don't like it.
It's just a moment of weakness where we just see a character. I mean, and by the way, I wouldn't say that Luke is like the most forthright with his feelings. Like, through most of this series, there have been times where he's had to sort of go off on his own. The period where he was freezing her out. Like, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's just like ready to just spill out everything that's going on to him.
He didn't say about his dark day at first to Lorelai. He just said, "Oh no, I can't come to that thing." And then later on, he decided to.
And I feel like that motivational, that self-help thing that he was doing was trying to help him be something better than he is, right? So it's telling him, do these things because these are important, and this is something he's working against. And so he may have become very successful at keeping at sharing things with Lorelai. But strikes me, if we're going to have him regress at all and suddenly not share things with Lorelai, having you find out that you might potentially have a daughter might be a good place in the narrative to have a character like that regress.
So basically, because he finds out that he has the daughter, but he's pretty much a grown man and should, pretty much be at the point where he could process things emotionally. I mean, we've seen him process a lot of stuff through these seasons. That is the reason for regressing?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I would say it would seem like a good point to give somebody such a huge bomb like that, because that's a bomb. This character clearly wants children. This character we've talked about may potentially have a little jealousy towards Christopher for being the technical father, the biological father of this girl he's seen as a sort of daughter figure. So the idea that suddenly he might have a daughter, I think is massive for that character. I really think that it's important to him. It may actually be something that he wants, and that might have some clashing with his relationship with Lorelai, and that might actually scare him. So I don't know. I think that it would be pretty big, even though he's a grown man.
I don't know.
On that note, can we segue to Rory?
I feel like it's a very natural reaction.
Yeah,
let's say that. That's terrifying. And you might keep it to yourself for a minute because you're trying to process this huge information.
And
I think that's totally normal.
Yeah, Luke might be terrifying but exciting at the same time, and he kind of wants to keep it to himself. At least for like a day or two to process it.
I feel it shows a big difference in how Lorelai and Luke process things differently too, because Lorelai is constantly, she talks everything out, and I also see it as kind of his fear of my perspective is seeing it as his fear of emotional intimacy. Because I don't know, it's an interesting topic that I think we should come back to after a couple more episodes too. But like as of right now, I think that I do see consistency with the character. Up until when he finds out, I don't know. That seems a little much to me that he hasn't. shared
Let's
that
talk
he's
about
done.
Rory.
Let's talk about Rory.
Yes,
Okay.
that
Can I
leads
finish my
something.
thought?
Wait,
Yes.
hold on.
Oh, sorry. Yes, finish.
Jennifer had
first.
not finished.
Thanks. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble with the big groups like this. I have trouble jumping in. But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I just agree that we've seen examples of Luke processing things on his own and holding back, and it made me think of like when he was with Rachel, and it was a really big deal when he finally like gave her a drawer, because he was kind of like hiding from her for a while. And then with Nicole, when he like moved in but didn't really move in, and like, so I do feel like there are a lot of examples that we've seen of him throughout relationships of having that fear of completely committing and sharing his life with someone. So we know that he wants that with Lorelai, but like figuring out that that's your desire and then actually like being consistent in your actions are different things, I think.
Exactly. And I think that that's the reason why that self-help thing is so important, because that self-help book and tape that he's listening to is supposed to tell us this is not who Luke is. He's working towards being somebody like that so that he can be with Lorelai. But that's not in his nature. And what we're seeing now is like, this is the true nature of Luke. And when the Lorelai Luke relationship gets stressed, which it is becoming stressed now, we see a character regress. And I have no problem with the idea that he kept that to himself. What I'm mostly pointing out is it is a big deal that he kept it to himself. I like the idea that it's just like, oh, it's not that big deal. He just want to keep it to himself. No, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big part of who this character is. He is, like you said, Jennifer, somebody who has had a hard time fully committing in a lot of the relationships we've seen in the series. And the fact that he can't come to Lorelai with this potential news, even before he's found out, it just says something. It just says something about where the character is at this moment. And I think it works really well with what we saw at the beginning of the episode, where he's sort of accusing Lorelai of not being able to fully commit the way that he is.
I'm sorry, Jennifer. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's okay.
I thought there was to get theirs.
Let's do a pivot to Rory. We have some time.
Rory.
Happy things.
I really love
Rory or Lorelai and Rory.
Let's start with Rory, because I mean, all that stuff with the newspaper and the job and whatnot. I mean, I think that it really goes hand in hand with the discussion that we had last night, or I should say the discussion we had last night spilling over into Facebook comment threads about, sort of what that scene last night really was about, right? Rory sort of getting sort of shaken out of her, her funk. And this is the first episode, I guess, where we get to see her, being that proactive, like super go get 'em reporter that we had been talking about maybe didn't exist in the character.
John, may I ask you a question?
You may.
So I know, I can't remember if it was last night or a previous episode before then, but I noticed that like you did mention before, when Rory was kind of in that funk, you were like, she wasn't really doing anything, and I said that she was doing things. I wanted to know, for this episode, and especially with the scenes of her going into the newspaper, did you start to see like her, really trying to like get back into her groove of thing?
Yes. Not only that, I actually thought I saw more than I've ever seen her be that persistent. I've never seen her be that like almost maniacally like she, the way that we've been talking about the character for weeks, I was starting to actually think man, maybe Rory doesn't really have that like go get him Christiane Amanpour personality, the ability to just like grab that story. I was like starting to doubt that like I'd ever even seen anything from the character that would suggest that she has that. And this episode like completely flipped my feelings on that. Although maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't see that. But that's how I felt. I felt like Rory like stepping up, becoming like not just somebody's assistant, not just your like really good at organizing a USO DAR party, but somebody who's like will not take no for an answer.
In a large, small sense, I wanted to share something that I shared with Emma, that I saw a lot of symbolism when she was really getting into like trying to get the job, and she wouldn't leave the newspaper until she got that job. I saw that in Rory in Lorelai, when she went to the Independence Inn with the baby in her hand, in her arms, just saying that she needs a job. Like she wouldn't, like, it's not that she wouldn't leave it, but she was that fierce and that, go get 'em attitude, that this is what I got to do and this is how I'm going to do it.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yep, that's my Jess.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I gave her kernels for it. I was like, that deserves some kernels, Jesse. That was amazing.
She did. Thanks, Emma.
Well, let me ask you, Carl. Did you feel that about Rory in this episode?
I think in the first go around of me watching it, I was glad to see Rory be that go-getter person. I was seeing like what she was doing. It did remind me of her mother and like what she did with the hotel thing, like with what Jessica mentioned. That's very true. That's why Mia gave Lorelai a shot, John. Come on, Mia. But yeah, like
she's a kind soul. She's a kind soul, Mia.
Kind, yeah.
She'll behead you in your sleep, though. Just letting you know. If you're not,
sometimes people are worth that,
And then
you
take
that
that
risk with some at the end.
I let Mia kill me. It's fine. But but like I did see that was with Rory. I was glad to see her, push forward with that and be kind of persistent. It did kind of remind me that like, okay, girl, you kind of got like the luxury to do that because these people already like you and stuff. Like a comfort, but that's a good thing. Like she's trying. I saw that she was trying to get back into like her mojo of things, what she likes to do. Like literally, even what Lorelai said with Emily, like, Rory didn't belong there. She belongs in school because that's Rory's thing. And doing this was Rory's thing. And I was very glad to see her do this, when I was watching the show live on TV. It made me very happy.
Yeah, it made me happy too. I loved it. I have to be honest, like watching with all of you for the past several weeks, like I second guess myself now all the time about my feelings for characters. And, I really was starting to believe that Rory Rory is not cut out for this at all. And that was kind of making me a little sad because to be totally honest, because I don't want to think that about the character that I'm investing so much time into. And whether or not I'm right that she does have it, I certainly feel like she does have it now that I've watched this episode, and that makes me feel good. I hope that lasts for at least a little bit longer.
I love that after, I think we've spent so many episodes now having in-depth conversations every single episode. Does Rory have it? Does Rory do anything? It's a really nice payoff. I really enjoy seeing her genuinely champion herself and believe in herself. It's just really nice.
Do you think we have Jess to thank for that though? Because I don't think she would have come out of her, snapped out of that if Jess hadn't showed up that
1,000,000,000%.
Emily. No,
also.
not at all.
That's
I mean, I think Jess was the final pushing of her realizing that she needed to get back to Yale, but if you really think about it, she was already on her way there because she was already getting frustrated with Emily and her inspections and constantly having to tiptoe around everything. And so she was thinking about it already. It was in the back of her mind, but I will agree that Jess gave her the final push to go to realize that she wanted to go back, but she ultimately made that decision herself, and it was already there in the back of her mind, I think.
I will also say, something that we didn't talk about at the beginning of yesterday's episode, where like all of those Life and Death Brigade folks are just like wasted, like absolutely like sloshed around, stumbling into cars. The only one who isn't, like the only one who is like completely sober, trying to get everybody, riled up or rounded up and whatnot, is Rory. And I thought that was an interesting. What's that? Yeah, she had to drive. Of course. But I think that like there was something in that made Rory feel, for the first time in a while in that whole Life and Death Brigade thing, like the outlier. She was suddenly somebody who wasn't really like everybody else. And I think that was the first moment in the episode yesterday that was sort of like Rory, like that. And then you mix that with like Rory starting to get really frustrated with Emily. And then, yeah, I do think that moment there with Jess was the like probably the biggest thing that like joggled her. But then I would say coming into the bar and talking to Logan and hearing his whole perspective on it also helped sort of solidify it. And I think by that point, I think she was ready. She was like, okay, I think I know where I'm going. Because then the next scene with Emily, but then the next scene with Emily seems like it seems like she's already done with Emily.
Yeah, she's already moved out.
Sorry, John, I wanted to hear the rest of your perspective, because my question was, because I had this discussion with a friend of mine once, and it was the idea that I used to give Jess a lot of credit in that conversation. I do still give him credit, but if that conversation had happened weeks earlier, I don't think it would have landed with as much power.
Yeah, I agree with. I totally agree with that. That's why I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree. That's why I wanted to hear everything you were saying, because I agree.
Yeah. I think that was the culmination of a lot of things that were happening, that we saw happening. We see that like we've been talking for weeks about this, and I really was starting to believe like, God, maybe she is just like a total like just into that Life and Death Brigade world of like, high society, get whatever I want, shoes shine, purses. Maybe I've just not been paying attention, and that's who she is. And I think that this episode showed us that actually it's not like that isn't who she is. It made us feel like she is not perfectly fitting into any of these things. She doesn't fit perfectly with Emily. She doesn't fit perfectly with the Life and Death Brigade. And Jess just was like the sort of nail. I don't want to say nail in the coffin, but he was just the final straw. He was the thing that just like got her suddenly realizing it. And I definitely give him credit for that. But I don't think, to your point, Mary, I don't think that a couple of weeks ago it would have had the same. I think she would have walked away from it,
On the contrary, on the other side of things, I won't go too much into Jess because I'm kind of tired of hearing people bash him, but
we're not bashing Jess. We're not bashing
I'm not
Jess.
saying it now. I'm saying it in general.
We're proud of Jess. We like Jess. I will sit to Jess. But
I'm
let's hear it.
fine.
You fine?
No, I'm just done.
Okay, so can we talk about Emily's reaction? Because
yes, please.
This episode just goes to show that for Emily, nothing is ever let go. She is still feeling the same pain now that she felt when Lorelai walked out, and Rory's actions just bring the whole, like, open the floodgates and bring it all back. There is no moving on for Emily ever.
Yeah, I agree with that. But how does it make you feel? That makes me feel very sad for Emily.
But I also and I agree to an extent, but also just because something brings back old feelings and memories doesn't mean you're holding on to it day after day after day. There are things that can happen that
trigger the same feelings that have happened before, and you might react to that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's where she's living. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean she's living in the past.
Well, I think that what Mary's saying is that she's living in the past as it relates to Lorelai and Rory. That like most of her interactions with the two of them, that those interactions are always influenced somehow by this fact that she hasn't been able to let that go out of in all of these years.
Yeah, I was going to talk
And
about it's more about healing. She hasn't healed.
Yeah.
That's
a better way.
Girls into her life.
Yeah,
she's grateful to have the girls back into her life, but she hasn't healed from the wounds that she experienced.
Yeah, I like that terminology.
Yeah, I agree. That's a better way of saying it. I want to hug Emily. I mean, I really do. Like that. This episode, I really wanted to hug her. Like buying a plane. I mean, come on.
Can I point out something that I noticed? I actually noticed two instances of foreshadowing in this episode.
Harvest your kernels, by the way. Harvest those kernels. Sorry, go ahead.
Never noticed them it's all right, but I had never noticed them before. The first being when Lorelai was trying to get Lane's attention in the diner, and she says, "Woohoo, I'm over here landing planes." And I just think it's funny because later on in the episode, Emily's trying to land a plane or to buy a plane.
Land a plane sail. She's trying to land a plane sail. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if that's like one of those things where the writer, like I feel like that happens to me a lot in my writing, where I, after the fact, realized that I put something in that was sort of serendipitous or that like had that, and then and I'm not quite sure if like it's because you're thinking about planes because you're writing one thing about planes, and then like you just don't think about planes for a second, but then your mind is subconsciously thinking of planes, so you come up with a plane joke. I feel like that happens to me a lot. I don't know if other writers have that same thing.
Also, the second time was when Lorelai gave Suki the quote unquote invitation to the housewarming. And she says it with the joke that Saturday night's a good night for fighting. And that's exactly what happens at the dinner. But also, that is almost the exact name of an episode that's coming up called Friday Night's a Good Night for Fighting. So I just thought that's interesting. Side note.
Yeah, it's cool. I like all those little. I love little connections like that. It's hard to say how many of those things are actually like planned by the writers and how much of it is just our ability to pull to notice patterns that exist all over the place. But it's cool.
Give me anything and I can overthink it. So.
No, I mean I think that fun. That's one of the. I think that's one of the that's like one of the most important aspects of fandom is being able to do that.
Yeah.
Should we, because I don't have much more time here, but should we shift to some la 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 la?
Are you singing the
la? I'm talking about that. You know, the reuniting
special.
That reuniting. I mean, that was kind of nice.
Oh, you want to talk about the reunited scene?
Yeah, those were the Lalas that were playing, right?
Oh, kids.
Yeah, there were.
That was your interpretation.
No. I'm gonna give John his props because he tried. I appreciate you, John, for trying.
Everybody was like, what in the?
It sounded a little pornographic there for a second.
And you want to say perfect.
Oh my gosh, just so much more silver than I remember.
Do you want to know what Scott said about the whole April thing at the panel?
Oh yes.
Maybe.
Yeah. What do you think?
After we talk about the reuniting.
Well,
If
let-
it's
let-
spoilery, no.
No, it's not a spoilery thing.
Okay, good.
Somebody had said something about April, and it was a very negative comment. And Scott turns around and he goes, "Whoa, that's my daughter. I take it very, very personally." And
That's
I,
sweet.
I was like, "We don't all hate her." He's like, "You don't?" They said, "No, we don't all hate her." So
well, I don't really. I don't know how you could hate her. So let's not dig too deep into that because I have a feeling that that character may be beheading somebody at some point in the series.
No.
I'm
Yes,
not aware of
you.
it yet.
Because she's the cousin
No,
Oliver. She's the cousin Oliver of the Gilmore
yeah.
Girls.
I don't get it. She seems super.
When we get
She
super
seems super
into
sweet.
it,
Thank you,
we can tell you all about it, John.
She seems super sweet and she seems super sweet and she also has like all these Rory qualities about her, and I know that he cares so much about Rory and is so into like how special Rory is, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you have a special daughter too? How cool is that? Like, I don't know, man. I can't imagine how people would start to not like that character, but I don't know. We got more of this story to go.
The cousin Oliver.
So, the cousin Oliver. I really liked the reunited scene. I know at first rewatch, I got really, really gleeful with that one too. It made me so happy just to see them back together again. Because, like, okay, for people who didn't watch it live on TV, they like binge watch it on Netflix or the DVDs. Just to let you know, that rift in real time, like live TV and stuff, it was like 5 months. Yeah,
So
because it was so long, so it was painful. It was like, okay, you got the freaking cliffhanger of season 5, then you wait 3 months, and then the freaking show over encompasses the 3 months and the freaking August, September, and then October, like early to mid-November, we're finally reunited. It's like, okay, that was so long. Like literally the snow was about to fall down from the sky. It was that long. It was really painful to see that go through, and just to see them back together, and just have it happen in that way. And just to hear what Lorelai was saying to Rory after she hugged her, I don't know why, but in that moment she sounded a little more humbled than she usually did when she talked to Rory. I may be seeing too much into it, but it just sounded a little more humbled. Maybe that was just, to Lauren Graham and her great acting. But it was really, really good. I love that scene. It made me think.
I think, Kid, you have no idea, might be one of my all-time favorite lines.
Yeah, me too. That scene always makes me like tear up. I remember when I first saw it, I was 12 when the show ended, so that must have been when I was like around 11. I remember like crying my eyes out at that moment because I was like, because Carl's right, like it was such a long period of time that we waited. I remember crying my eyes out, and like I remember thinking to myself that like I could see, because my mom and I are very close like that, like so like I could see if anything ever happened to our relationship, if we like didn't speak for a long period of time, like I could see it going on for like 5 or 6 months that we didn't speak. And so like in that moment, like it reminded me of like probably how my mom would react if like when we finally like got back together, and like so that, and just the way that Lauren acted, that just that line, like she got so choked up and was like, Kid, you have no idea, like that line is what gets me, is because she's like, you could feel every ounce of emotion, every emotion that she was feeling, like happiness that she had worried about, sadness that she lost so much time with her, just everything was oozing out of her in that one moment, and it was just so beautiful. And yeah, I still tear up a lot, like almost every single time I watch that scene, because it's so beautiful. So yeah, love it.
There's probably some real emotions there too, because like you have to remember that Lauren and Alexis like spent so much time together recording, and so this time that they were apart, they weren't doing scenes together, so I'm sure that there was a lot of personal emotion there as well.
Yeah, that's a very
absolutely.
good point. That's absolutely true. It's funny because I was thinking well, I mean, I loved the scene as well, but just from the perspective of like, you know, the amount of time and watching this in this compressed fashion, I was like, that was really beautiful. But they couldn't even get to the halfway point in like we didn't even get to the middle of the season before those characters had to come back together. It was just getting way too painful, and I can only imagine how intense that was when it was airing week to week.
Yeah, the show's called Gilmore Girls, and it hurts so much to have Gilmore separated girls, you know, and it's fun to like the guys and whatever, but I think the most special relationship is always Lorelai and Rory.
Yeah, although now it feels like you know, one thing is resolved and another thing now is you know, potentially in danger. And so my guess is first half of the season was all about this conflict, and now that this conflict has resolved or is resolving, now second half of the season is about how Luke and Lorelai can't do this. They're not going to get married. It's not going to work. And Christopher is going to come into the equation and make things even more complicated for all of them. And if there's any reason why the fandom might hate April, it could be potentially how much, whether she was, you know, whether she you know, has like was doing it on purpose or not, how much the character has affected all of this.
I'm gonna beat Carl to it. You want to put some kernels on it?
We try to avoid gambling here.
Are you sure?
We
except for couch slots.
Right.
We adhere to all international gambling laws here at Remarcus.
I'm not sure who said it before we started the episode that one of your questions would be answered. I want to know which question that was. I can't remember who said it.
Hi, yes, that was me. Sorry.
Hi, Lily.
I think he was, because John's been asking all season what's going to be the conflict between like Lorelai and Luke.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The nerves about what was going to happen.
Oh, you want to know what's interesting is that like, you want to know what's interesting is I've known this about the April character, because like I said, I've met her at Gilmore Girls Fan Fest, and so I was like, who's that? Like what did she play on the show? And I was like, oh, that's Luke's daughter. And I was like, wait, what? And then like, but the weird thing is that it wasn't until this episode that I was like, oh, I know what's going on here. And so because of that, I've been trying to rack my brain thinking of what could be the major conflict to Luke and Lorelai. And of course, I went straight to Christopher, not even really realizing that I had already been spoiled on this big thing that is the way more obvious thing that's going to cause a rift between.
I can't believe you were spoiled on that. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, you know, that's like, it's like one of the types of things that I would get spoiled on, because, you know, you meet people who worked on the same show. Yeah, that you were working together on a job. But like, I will say though, I do think that Christopher is going to he's going to come into this and he's
already had his appearance this season.
I think he's gonna appear more this season, and I think that it's gonna complicate things even more, and it's gonna make things just crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah, because he did call to leave a voicemail. Now, you know, maybe in the next episode or two, we'll figure out why he left a voicemail or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's coming back, so we'll see. All right, I'm gonna make some folks moderators here, and then I am going to head off. Tomorrow we have a big episode tomorrow. Wonder what could be happening tomorrow.
The suspense is killing me.
I hope it's so big that we all get an extra 100 kernels for it.
Gosh, just the pandering for kernels that you do every night, Carl.
Look, you gotta get in where you fit it.
Are the harvests just not doing it for you?
John, no.
I didn't say, John, you need to take some credit because a few of the requests that are on I went in today to make a request, and a few of the requests that are on there have been already fulfilled, and you still have them on the list. So you should.
I know I know I need to take some of those off. It's just I haven't really built a system I haven't built an admin system for myself to do it easily on my phone. So I have to do those all like in the database on my computer, and so it's just like I procrastinate. But eventually I'm gonna have all of that and as I said, I'm gonna folks in the community helping me with that. So we'll be in there.
Yay, thank you.
All right, everyone. I will be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. for one of my most memorable episodes in the series for a few different reasons, including a story that I can share with everyone that some folks may have heard. I tell it a lot at various like panels and festivals and whatnot. It's just another story, another bit of the same with John Cabrera on the set of Gilmore Girls. Thank you once again for watching this with me. It's been really great. I love this episode.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.